Hello, this is Mark Georgi, and welcome to Think Big and Prosper, or like I like to call it, Think Big and Live Large. This is the first installment of this video series where we get to know more about our Think Big community members and about their achievements in the field of large database analysis. Today, we're in the company of Jose Lopez. Dr. Jose Lopez is currently located in Florida. Hello.
Hi, Dr. Georgie. How are you?
Good to see you again.
Good to see you too. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
Oh, it is my pleasure. That's great. So if you can let our audience know more about you, if you can tell us how you came to be in Florida.
Yeah, of course. So I'm originally from the Dominican Republic. I grew up there like my whole life. I went to medical school there. And by the end of medical school, I took all my board exams and applied for residency to come here to the US. And I think that was around year 2019, and I got in for internal medicine residency in 2020. I did my internal medicine residency at Aventura Hospital Medical Center in Aventura, Florida.
That's great. And this is where you're located currently.
Yeah, so now I'm doing my cardiovascular disease fellowship at the University of Miami at JFK Hospital in West Palm Beach.
That is excellent. Congratulations. July
Thank you
is
so much.
probably the first week. How is it going so far in fellowship?
Oh, it's amazing. I love it. It's like since I started, like this is like I think that's my second week. I feel I make the right career choice. So I'm truly, truly happy.
That is excellent. That's so great to hear. Okay, so let's start with the basics. So how did you hear about the online Catalyst workshop?
Yeah, so I actually heard about the workshop from like is he's the husband of a friend of mine from the Dominican Republic. So I think he was one of your very first workshop attenders in New York. And I was, because my hospital, my internal medicine residency program was a small community hospital. There were not a lot of resources for research, and I know like cardiology as well as gastroenterology are extremely competitive. So you do need, especially coming from a community hospital, you need a good amount of research. And I try until I spoke with him, so he would give me some tips on how to become a strong applicant, and he suggested me above everything do this workshop because you'll be able to get a lot of research projects with it. So I took his advice and I did the workshop, and here we are.
That's awesome. That is great. That's a very nice story. So when in your residency, let's say you started your residency in July, how many months after that did you attend the online Catalyst workshop?
So I was actually pretty late into my residency. It was actually the second half of second year, so around January. So I had 6 months until cardiology applications were due.
This is when you were feeling the heat. This is
Yeah,
when
I was
things were getting serious.
definitely that we're getting serious. I had a couple abstracts, a couple 1 to 2 like manuscript and like low level journals, but like very minimal stuff really.
Okay, well, that's great. This is mostly what the online Catalyst workshop is geared for, or targets the people who indeed are looking to produce some abstracts and papers and get into that match and be hopefully as successful as you were. Okay, so how many days did you have, or how many days did it take you to go through the whole workshop from video 1 through video 25?
So I would say it took me roughly 2 weeks to go through the whole video, but in these 2 weeks I watched them like repeatedly. I
Okay,
watched like several lectures. I watched like over and over again. I would take notes,
yeah,
play with data. But I would say 2 weeks. But
okay.
I would also say if you have a little bit more time, you could do it in 1 week.
Okay, so you're pretty comfortable doing maybe a video or two, and then kind of take maybe a break and then repeat that. Okay,
Yeah.
which is perfectly or exactly what we hear from most of the other participants. Most people take it. I mean, the minimum was 3 days, and the maximum, obviously, you can take as much time as you would like.
Yeah.
This workshop was given in person before over 2 days, but the material in it now will not be possible. Like if you want to take it now in 2 days, you won't be able to do that unless you're gonna
Yeah.
doing it 24/7, gonna
Yeah.
crash coursing it. So that's great. So okay, and then after you did that, how long was it until you embarked on your first research projects?
So it was pretty soon. So I remember you had this video about getting a research question, and that video was so, I would say, enlightening, because I truly did, I truly had trouble sometimes finding research questions, but that video helped me a lot. I literally, from that video, I sat down and I got maybe like 12 different ideas for projects.
That is excellent. And by that video, you're referring to the video on the channel, on the YouTube channel, Catalyst Medical Consulting YouTube channel,
Yeah.
where Paul Kroner was talking about how to create a research question, how to obtain a research question. That's excellent. That's
Yeah.
great. Okay, so then you kind of sat down, and would you say you started actually the first coding attempt was how many days after the online Catalyst workshop was completed?
So, as you mentioned, I was feeling the heat, right? I had to be very strategic. So I had to sit down because I knew I was 6 months out, and I had to sit down and look which conferences I could still submit abstracts, right? And I would at least have a decision of accepted or not before fellowship. So I sat down and there were two main conferences. There were the European Society of Cardiology conference in Barcelona and the Heart Failure Society of America. And between those two, I produced around, I think I sent 9 abstracts between those two.
Oh, that's amazing.
And
Which we're gonna talk about in a little bit. That is wow. That's amazing.
yeah.
Uh,
No, so a little bit after I finished the whole videos, I took my first project, I would say within the week, because as I mentioned, I had before the submission closed for those two conferences, I had about roughly 2 to 3 weeks. And the first conference was ESC that actually I only had 1 week. And I was actually doing my cardiology rotation at the time, which I would get out of the hospital at 7 p.m. So I would go home, get home at 7:30, 8 p.m., sit down, code, check all the ICD codes, do the first. Definitely when I did my very first project, I did it overnight actually.
that's
And
amazing.
it took me all night because I run into this problem and then like, oh my God, what am I doing? Then until it all worked out and I produced my very first abstract.
That is awesome. Looks like the typical resident trying to multitask, having 24 hours and making the 24 hours become 25 every day. So that is great. I mean, I'm happy to hear it because I'm happy to hear about the end result, which is awesome. How do you rate your statistical knowledge before you took the online Catalyst workshop?
So I gotta say, I did have a solid theoretical statistical knowledge. I had a solid understanding of what's a p-value, what's a confidence interval, how clinical trials are designed, and all those stuff. I understood the statistical tests. I was actually pretty good in stats for all my steps and everything. But, I had no idea how to actually do it myself, nor have I ever did like a project with like large database.
Which was my next question. How much did you know about large databases or NIS or NEDs before you?
Zero.
Okay. Okay.
Zero.
Yep.
I didn't know it existed. I didn't know it was a thing. The largest project I did before the NIS was like we collected some patient stuff and it was like maybe like 80 patients. And we did the analysis in Excel.
Okay.
Very, very gruesomely, very, very rough, very raw. So yeah, I had zero knowledge about it.
Wow, from Excel all the way to Stata in
Yeah.
2 weeks and overnight. That's excellent. That's an achievement. That's great to hear. That's excellent. Okay, so now we know that you took the workshop, you were feeling the heat. You had a very limited time before you could apply for an abstract to two cardiology meeting. One was in Barcelona, the other one was in the United States.
Yes.
And now you're working overnight. You're trying to come up with that research project. You're running into, I'm sure, some error messages and you're trying to work through them. Once all of this was done, what happened to the outcome? What happened to that research project?
Yeah, so I'm happy to say they were like all accepted. The first thing I did was like I took them to, the cardiologist I was rotating at the time. I showed him this. You know, I got them involved and they were all accepted. In fact, of those 9 that I submitted, three
Nine
of them,
abstracts. You
three
submitted
of
nine
them were
abstracts?
9 abstracts between the 2 conferences. And actually 3 of them were oral presentations and 1 of them was a moderated poster and the rest were accepted as posters.
Wow, that is awesome. Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's,
Thank
I'm sure, a lot of hard work, but also a lot of reward.
you. Yeah.
So you got to go to Barcelona to present those abstracts.
Yeah, it was amazing. In fact, since they were oral presentations, I think they recorded it and they uploaded it to the ESC website.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so
That's
it was
awesome.
it's pretty good.
Does your program support your travel to Barcelona?
Yeah, actually, again, a small community program, but like I had the luck that they had a lot of funding for like travel. They don't fund like international travel, but all the conferences I went in the US, which were ACC, HFSA, and CHEST, they paid for it.
Oh, that's great. That is excellent. So then the most important question becomes, how was Barcelona?
Oh, it was amazing. It was amazing. It's so beautiful. It looks right out of a movie. Truly, it's a beautiful place.
That's great. I remember my days of visiting Barcelona. I had a beautiful time too.
Yeah.
It was not for a conference, but I can only imagine Barcelona and being an oral presenter or abstract presenter. I'm sure that was a very special time that you spent there. So you got to present the abstracts. Did you meet anyone else from the United States or anybody from the cardiology community down in Barcelona?
Oh yeah, like I think like that's one of the better things, and I think everything just comes around. Like you can use research, you can use abstracts to network and meet people, and just expand everything. I became friends with like 2 people that one of them she's now doing a cardiology at I think as University of Central Florida, and someone else also he's doing a research fellowship at Mayo Clinic. So we became friends from there, and of course I got like good people there.
That's
I
awesome.
even got to see Dr. Valentin Fuster. He's like one of the cardiology gods. So it was
That's
great.
great. Well deserved. Well deserved. That's excellent. That's great. So you spent some time in Barcelona and then you went to the other conference, which was in, where
It
was
was
it
in
again?
Washington,
Oh, Washington, D.C.
Washington D.C. Yeah.
Okay, that's great. So, and you presented 9 abstracts. So tell me more about what happened after these 9 abstracts. Did you start any other research projects? And most importantly, what happened to these 9 research projects?
Yeah, so actually I had a really good story. And again, this ties in on what I said that everything just, goes around. One of the oral presentation I made at Heart Failure Society of America in Washington, that presentation got me an interview for cardiology.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so a program director was there. He saw the presentation. He like was very impressed. And then he told me like, "Oh, like, did you apply to our program?" I'm like, "I did, but I haven't heard back." So he took my contact information and like in 2 days time, I had an interview. So that's, like that goes to show you like the publications not only get you the publications, but it allows you to network, get opportunities, get involved in research with other people. I was able to get many mentors. Like for example, in ACC when I was presenting, I was able to meet people who are interested in mentoring, and I was like, "Doctor, listen, I have this paper I did. Would you be interested in collaborating with me?" And from there, we're able to I was able to work with them in various projects. Regarding the outcome, all my abstracts were published. From there, I'm still working on some of the manuscripts, but the majority of the manuscripts for those papers I have published. In fact, I had just one accepted in the American Journal of Cardiology. And you know, I had a really, at the end when I applied to cardiology, I had a really strong CV, and I had no problems with interviews, and I was able to match in my number one, in my number one spot.
That is amazing. That is really good to hear. It is good to see someone who really starts from zero, works very hard, does what needs to be done, and then at the end get to the finish line. And congratulations again for being now a fellow in cardiology.
Thank you.
I think it is a well-deserved, a very well-deserved position, and hopefully things will continue to look as bright in your future as they are in your present right now. So that's awesome. So right now, after those 9 research projects, are you embarking on new ones?
Yeah, no, definitely. So everything has just multiplied and is snowballing, and I would say it's even out of control. Because through the relationships I made with, like, you know, inviting different people from different, you know, to collaborate with me on these projects. I had those projects published, but they now have also invited me to work on projects of them because of, you know, my skills and all that. And with friends also that I collaborated with, they've been inviting me. So I'm involved in many more projects, not only those of my own. And I actually, I just have 2 projects from those that I started that are pending to finish the manuscript. One is on there, is accepted with minor revisions, and the other I just resubmitted to another journal. But when I'm done with my internal medicine boards in August, I already have like 15 different ideas that I'm gonna sit down and do.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
That's awesome. It is addictive. Once you know the secret to publishing, I think it becomes really, really addictive. And
it does.
this is the common theme I hear, like the first publication, you spend a lot of time, you might be working on it overnight, you have a lot of errors, but then when you publish, when you get this feedback, then it becomes like a magnet. You're attracted and you do the second and the third, and it becomes much easier because
Yeah.
now you know what to do. So you're kind of cranking up those research projects and it keeps going. That's great to hear. And my understanding is that you had also some recognitions or a recognition from your program on the research that you have done.
Yeah, no, definitely. So I won Researcher of the Year for 2 years in a row, for both my second year and for my third year of residency. And I also won something within the hospital for having the most amount of PubMed index publications. Like they gave me like some AirPods. And yeah, and
That
and
is
my cardiology program director, you know, like he loves it. He tells me all the time, "Oh, you're like prolific. You're prolific." So it's definitely been fruitful.
so, Jose, let me ask you a question. When you were trying to join the residency match, or actually the fellowship match, uh,
Mhm.
were you thinking about yourself as a prolific author and a researcher?
I'm like, I say this almost, Dr. George, I say this almost every day. When I'm like writing a paper, I'll just like, it's late at night and I'm like scratching my head writing. And I'm like, when I joined medicine, who who would have told me that I would be like writing or like creating figures or like running code on statistics? Like I would have never imagined this would have taken me there. In fact, when I applied to residency, I had 0 publications, not even one, not even a case report, nothing.
That's amazing. That's amazing. And that shows, again, when you want something and you work hard for it, usually the universe will respond and will
Yeah.
give it to you at the end.
Yeah.
Congratulations again. So then let's shift gear a little bit here. So now that you got all of the successes and all of the recognition and you have matched, then you decided to join the Advanced Catalyst Workshop. So first of
Yeah.
all, how did you know about the Advanced Catalyst Workshop?
So when I signed in for the online, I saw that the advance was available. In fact, I wanted to do it as soon as in residency, but my schedule was just a mess, you know. So I actually didn't. I was actually I attended the last workshop. I think it was at the very end of my third year.
Okay, so you already matched and
Yeah.
you're
At that point, I had already matched, but
okay.
I wanted to refine my, get new ideas and be able to do more refined things.
Okay. And then you traveled from Florida to the site in Virginia
Yeah.
at Fairfax, which this is when I had the pleasure to meet you and
Yeah.
to connect with you. So that is great. Also, another proof that you really work hard, and you, when you set something on your mind, you are out to get it. And
Yeah.
congratulations again for obtaining what you deserve. So, okay, so now that you have the Advanced Catalyst Workshop and the Online Catalyst Workshop in your armamentum, how difficult, or how, if you want, more concentrated is the Advanced Catalyst Workshop compared to the Online Catalyst Workshop?
I
At least
would
how do you
say,
feel it is?
yeah, I mean, the problem is like when I did it, I was sick. So my concentration was really hard to concentrate, but I think it was easy to digest. It was well spaced. I think it was very good. There's a part I missed that I will definitely have to come back for it, but I loved it. I think it's great. I think you and I have talked with my mentee. I showed him the online Catalyst workshop, and we're planning to go together to your advanced Catalyst workshop again. Him for the first time and me again. But like you're just so good at breaking down these concepts. He often said it while he was watching the videos. Like Dr. George is just so good at explaining these concepts, and I think that's what's most special, because for people who have not done the workshop, doing the actual coding is not that hard. It is not that hard. It's not. It's the thing is understanding what you're doing and the thinking behind it that takes time and expertise, and it's hard. And that's why your workshop, I think, is so special.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you for your kind words. What I tell people is a lot of participants take the Online Catalyst Workshop, but not all participants have the necessary resolve or the necessary energy to take that information and run with it and work hard on it to get at the end what they are looking for. And people like you who actually do it will achieve what they set out to achieve, and at the same time enjoy it and be an inspiration for the other members who are looking to also match in residency or match in fellowship, or possibly becoming an associate professor or a full professor, et cetera, et cetera. And it is a story like yours that give them the necessary energy and inspiration to work hard and achieve it. So Jose, it was great talking to you. Thank you for giving us a portion of your very limited time. I wish you the best in your fellowship, and I certainly look forward to seeing you again in one of the Advanced Catalyst workshops. Before we leave, do you have any final words for people who maybe are thinking about joining the workshop, or people who already joined it and are trying to publish or get abstracts and manuscripts on their CV?
100%. So the number one thing, because for so long I tried to like find research opportunities, people who helped me, and the looking back now in retrospect, hindsight, the major mistake I made is I kept coming to people with empty hands. I kept coming saying, yeah, I want to do research, but like I don't know anything. I don't know how research works. I've never done anything. I haven't read about it. I haven't educated myself about it. And the reality is doctors, like, we don't have the time to like take somebody from the ground up and like sit down with them and teach them all this stuff. So like I feel you have to do your due diligence and learn about research. It's not gonna come from the sky. So I feel like this is what you need to do. You need to do workshops, like do this workshop, for example. It will teach you the theory of how a research project and observational study is done, and it will teach you how to actually do it. And that way, when you go to an attending, or you go to a doctor and you're like, doctor, I have this idea and I did it. What do you think? How can we improve it? I want to get you on board. And I think that's the most important. So invest in yourself. Invest in yourself is just not going to come from the sky. You have to invest in yourself, invest your time, invest in things like this, but it will definitely pay out if you do it. And Dr. Georgie, I really want to say thank you, because if it wasn't for you, for the person who referred me to you, I would probably not be in my number one choice right now.
Well, thank you, Jose, for your kind words. It is really an inspiration listening to you, listening to how you started from almost nothing as far as large database analysis and research is concerned, how you worked hard day and night to really get to where you want to be and actually achieve it using the information from the large database analysis workshops, both the online Catalyst workshop and the advanced Catalyst workshop. I hope that you continue with the same enthusiasm. And most importantly, I hope that you continue to do research because really you are achieving a lot. And this is not only will benefit you, but will also benefit the community at large, both in cardiology and in telemedicine. Again, I would like to thank you very much for being with us today. And I would like to end by repeating the real wise words that you just said: invest in yourself, because this is the investment that counts at the end of the day. Dr. Jose Lopez, thank you very much again for joining us.
And thank you so much, Dr. Georgie.